Israelis worry evil actors on the world stage might take advantage of America, being led by the appearance of a weakened commander-in-chief. As one Israeli columnist put it, in a world rife with aggressive forces, the unflattering image of an American president, the leader of the free world, appearing weak and incoherent, encourages them to exploit opportunities. Another columnist added, "Weakness is not a trait that an American president can convey by any means." Wyoming Republican Senator John Barrasso expressed similar worries.
It's what foreign leaders, our enemies, saw in that debate in China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. Right now, are they thinking this is our moment of opportunity?
Those concerns are especially crucial to the Jewish state as it sits on the brink of war with Iranian-backed Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon. Israel's defense minister told troops in northern Israel this weekend the nation is readying for either war or peace. But as Israel is facing war with Hezbollah and its more than 150,000 missiles, the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee says the Biden administration is withholding key weapons it needs to defend itself.
The fact is, we're not helping them. In fact, this is what is most disturbing to me, is that we're withholding weapon systems that I have signed off on and Congress has appropriated with the intent of sending those weapons to Israel. Remember the supplemental? Mm-hmm. They are effectively withholding 7 weapon systems. I can't get into the details.
In Gaza, Hamas still holds more hostages. One of those 4 Israeli hostages recently rescued is reminding the nation of their plight.
I want to take this opportunity to remind everyone that there are still 120 hostages in Hamas captivity. Among them is Avinatan Or, my partner, from whom I was separated at the moment of abduction. Although I'm home now, we can't forget about the hostages who are still in Hamas captivity, and we must do everything possible to bring them back home.
Israel's prime minister says Israel is ready to make a deal, but Hamas won't agree.
And today, everyone knows the simple truth. Hamas is the only obstacle to the release of our hostages.
Hamas continues to reject any deal that doesn't include an end to the war and removal of all Israeli troops from Gaza, which Israel cannot abide.
Chris Mitchell joins us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, is there much hope in Israel for a potential agreement with Hamas for the hostages, or is the thinking Hamas really doesn't want a deal?
Well, Ephraim, I would say much of this hope is waning right now. This has been dragging on for months, and I think the thinking is here in Israel that many believe they really don't want a deal unless it includes those 2 demands we mentioned in the report, ending the war totally and the withdrawal of all Israeli troops. Those are both non-starters to this government. Many believe they're really not seriously negotiating in good faith. Also, we have to realize that the top leaders, Yahya Sinwar, they're using some of those hostages that remain alive as human shields. And some question as well whether the pressure of the world should really be on Hamas and on its sponsor to Qatar to really pressure Hamas to release many of those hostages. And also, tragically, Ephraim, we know many are not alive, and many are still being tortured. Many of the women have been raped. Some of the women may be pregnant. So it's a very tragic situation, and there's not a great deal of hope here about an agreement anytime soon.
Speaking of agreements, is there any realistic chance of a deal with Hezbollah, or is Israel just hoping there won't be an all-out war at this point?
Well, they're hoping there won't be an all-out war, but they are preparing for a possibility of an all-out war. It seems like there's a slim chance for diplomacy to work. They've been working on, diplomatic solutions for a number of months now. But it seems unlikely that Hezbollah, which has really entrenched itself in South Lebanon since 2006, since the Second Lebanon War, will withdraw above what's called the Litani River, that geographical boundary there in South Lebanon. Hezbollah has embedded itself in the civilian population in South Lebanon. And, many people are making the point, this is really more than just Hezbollah. It's really Iran, its proxy on Israel's border, and that the real decisions are not being made in Beirut, but the real decisions are being made in Tehran. So in a war like this, Ephraim, really could devastate Lebanon. Israel has promised to bomb Lebanon itself into the Stone Age. And but something must happen, Ephraim. It's unsustainable that 80,000 Israelis that are now internal refugees that have evacuated from the border have not gone back for months now. This is sort of like a shrinking of Israel. And by the way, war is with Hezbollah is probably the major topic right here in Israel.
Let's talk about the two fronts. What kind of attacks is Israel facing from Gaza and Hezbollah?
Well, in Hezbollah, they have a formidable array of weapons. They have drones, they have UAVs, they have mortars, anti-tank guided missiles that are actually really damaging and destroying many of these communities on the northern border. They have rockets, and probably the main threat, Ephraim, they have is precision-guided missiles that they could hit civilian buildings. They can hit, infrastructure inside Israel that really could do major damage. That could include power plants, military infrastructure. That makes the huge difference. And Gaza, Islamic Jihad just launched 20 rockets. It's amazing to see that they could do that 8 months into the war right now. But part of the reason is they're hidden in civilian areas. They can be preset, and they've been woven into the whole part of Gaza, and that's part of the reason they're able to launch these rockets so far into the war.
Another big story in Israel right now is the director of the hospital which helped Hamas terrorists has been released from custody. What is the reaction there?
Well, some people are outraged right now, and the reason for this release is that some of the detention cells are just overcrowded. So they've been released 50 imprisoned Hamas terrorists. And one of those is the leader of the administrator of that hospital. And there's one reaction from one of the members of Knesset, and he tweeted this. He said, "How can this man be released when the abductees were tortured and murdered inside that hospital? It was served as a terror base, and really there was nothing in exchange for his release." And so he said it was unconscionable. So some people are quite upset about this.
Chris, I know there's concern in Israel about President Biden's performance in the debate Thursday. How closely are Israelis following America's presidential race?
Very, very closely, Ephraim. They know U.S. is Israel's biggest ally, and they need and want a strong America. And Biden's performance last night projected anything but strength, but weakness. And they know here in the U.S., in the Middle East, that strength is very important. And so many people are actually looking forward to the election based on what President Trump's support of Israel in his term. They're hoping, some praying, that this would happen so Israel can be strong.
All right, Chris Mitchell from Jerusalem, thank you so much. As always, stay safe. We appreciate your insights. And, of course, we back here continue to pray for you and our team there on the ground in Israel.